Hi everybody, my name is Paul Keeley from Palladium Security. This is pretty much the intro or the explainer for a full series we're going to do on Beyond Corp. I recommend watching this one first. I'm going to just overview how the product works and what you need to understand to get Beyond Corp to work effectively in your organization. When I started in IT more than 25 years ago, we had a model whereby you got a user account, you got a computer account, you log in with your username and password, and you then got access to the entire environment. And there are plenty of organizations that still work like that, that we explicitly trust who you are and what you're doing. You log in. Once you log in and you have a username and password, you can just go around the environment. And years ago, Google were breached. They made this amazing video series. Totally recommend looking at it. And they decided to change the model from this explicit trust model to something that they have defined or became known as zero trust. And how Google named this is they said, well, imagine users working beyond the corporation, beyond the corp environment. What would that look like? And then they said, hey, we should actually deploy that model inside the corporate environment so that the three components really of zero trust is that you have to authenticate who you are, you have to be authorized, and then we have to assess you to check that your security stance is okay. When you walk up to the airport, if it's the airport in your local city, you've probably flown out of there a bunch of times, but no one walks up and says, oh yeah, hey, we remember you, on you go. And so in the analogy I have here, your passport is like it's your authentication. It's to prove who you are. Passport comes from your identity provider, which is your government. In our example, the identity provider here is going to be Google Workspace GCP, an account in Google Workspace. Boarding pass is like your authorization to get on a flight. And we authorize people to get to files and folders and shares and applications. But at that point, that's old IT. If you're still working in that IT model, yikes. Because the next thing that should happen is that we do not implicitly trust you because you have a corporate account that you can access our resources. And so we got to assess who you are and what you're doing. And that's the last component that makes up the zero trust, that we set policies and you have to meet those policies. Beyond Corp is essentially made up of three things. It's your identity provider or your user account. We're taking that from Google, from Workspace. And then inside Workspace, there's something called Access Context Manager, or it's actually called Context Aware Manager. It's Access Context Manager in GCP, and they flip it around for Workspace. We actually make them mostly make our policies in Workspace and then let them transfer over to GCP. But in Access Context Aware, we create policies. And then we connect to something called an Identity Aware Proxy, or IAP. For the rest of all these videos, I'm just going to say IAP. And what the IAP proxy does is we connect to it and it checks the policy. It says, hey, if you just want to get to a vacation website, it's not such a big deal. Maybe you just have to be local and internal in our org. Or maybe you want to get to something super sensitive, or you're a super privileged account, like a super user inside Google Workspace. And so if you were a super user, we might say, hey, you have to be on a corporate approved device. You have to multi-factor in with things like your Google Authenticator. We might put endpoint protection on your browser to look at your device. We might look at your user account, the time of day you're coming in, do you have PKI, etc. And so in the slide, you can see users get single sign-on to SaaS-based apps. That's not actually technically part of Beyond Corp, but in terms of giving people access to resources, it still uses, or it has the capacity to use, policy assessment. So I'm just going to leave it in for the moment. But we can take front-facing components that are in our GCP environment, like VDI, like websites, our Kubernetes environment, and we can broker all of that through the IAP proxy. And then Beyond Corp comes with something called an on-prem connector that's used to connect to Windows or Linux servers, either in a cloud environment like Azure or on-prem. And with that, we're able to, access a resource that has no public IP. And as part of this, series, we're going to give you a demo of all of this. And then just the last thing is that we use the building blocks of Workspace. What are the building blocks of Workspace? It's all workspace security. So, MFA, PKI, managed Chrome, all of those components go in to make up this environment whereby we have the ability to say, we allow you to come in, you have to prove who you are, and then when you're trying to prove your security posture, we're able to go in and look at that and decide super quick to let you in or not. The beauty of Beyond Corp is that it is all Google infrastructure. It's fully managed by Google. It's super fast. It's super performant. It's probably the most performant, service I've ever seen to control vast numbers of people getting access to your resources. And in this series, we're going to go through every use case we can think of. And we thank you for your time, and we hope you continue through the series. If you just want to, if there's just one thing you want to see or do, just click on that video. You don't have to go through the series. And other than that, thank you for starting this Beyond Corp series with Palladium.